Shalom, shalom. I'd like to start off by giving all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well. Peace, blessing, salutations to all the hopeful elect out there scattered throughout the four corners of the earth. To the sincere believers as well. This is the brother Adaviar from the GMS Toronto camp coming back at you with another one. And it's just going to be a little quick one. But this lesson was inspired by an event that had took place last week on the job site. There's an incident, and you know, in the midst of that incident, there was some panic. There was some chaos. Someone had gotten hurt. Someone that had gotten hurt, and the panic, in people's, the panic on people's face. People were crying, and no one died. I think one of the guys, one of the heads had was like a heart attack or a stroke, and just looking at people panicking, seeing people crying, women crying, because where I'm at, there's women on the site. Seeing men get emotional. Another dude just straight fainted because he was just overwhelmed. He was overwhelmed with what was going on, and in the midst of all this, I just I was just thinking about Jacob's trouble, and that's the thing. That's the thing with this truth. The most random things can make you think about the scriptures. Whether you're watching some movie or show, whether you see some type of imagery or a song, or just your daily lives. The scriptures are they constantly will come to mind. So in the midst of this whole event, I was just thinking about Jacob's trouble, thinking about if people could, if people are reacting off of something like that, what happens when when the grid goes down? What happens when you can no longer access your money? What's going to happen when the shortages in the stores? What's going to happen when there's complete anarchy and just people ramping wild out there on the streets? Martial law, civil war. A lot of people are gonna, a lot of people are gonna give up the, are gonna have heart attacks right there and then. A lot of people are gonna go back to the heavens because they're gonna be shook. Even, even when you think about the chariots, when the chariots start to show themselves, and ultimately when Yahushua returns, on that massive chariot, when the fire from the laser beam fire from the chariots, when those amber alerts, or not amber alerts, but like when those emergency broadcast alerts go out, people are gonna panic. People are not gonna know what to do. You know, some people are gonna be so overwhelmed and shook, they're just gonna faint. Their heart's gonna give out. That's the times that we're coming into. So I want to start off with this precept, Luke 21 and 26. Luke chapter 21, starting from verse 26. Man's hearts failing them for fear and for looking after those things which are coming on the earth. But the powers of the heavens shall be shaken, and then shall they see the Son of Man, which is Yahushua, coming in a cloud. And that cloud is going to be that massive chariot that the whole world is going to see with power and great glory. And when these things begin to come to pass, then look up and lift up your heads, for your redemption draweth nigh. So, Pete, when just that little event that took place at work, it made me think about this. It made me think about the return of Yahushua and the things leading up to his return. You know, people are these women, they're done, they're through, you know. And you can see, and like it says, men's heart failing. So men are, naturally, they're, what's the word? We know how to deal with certain things. Some of us, you know, but you know, a lot of people are just gonna be just shook up. Gonna be shook out. If men's hearts failing, then what happened with the women? They're gonna be through. You know, they're gonna be through. They're not gonna know what to do. And this is talking about the coming of Yahweh Shai. But like I said, like leading up to it, many things are gonna take place. Things are gonna get really terrible out there. You know, and people are not ready. That's why we tell Jake to repent now, because Yahweh Shai, he's that comforter. He's the one that is going to keep us safe and sound in the midst of complete chaos. While everyone is bugging out, while everyone's tripping, while everyone is trying to make while everyone's trying to make what's the word I'm looking for? Everyone's trying to make sense of everything that's going to be taking place. The elect of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai are going to be good. They're going to be stable. We're not going to be bugging out. The Lord is going to put that spirit on us where we're just, we're just locked in. Just locked in and waiting for his return. Because when things start to get sticky, when the famine of the word kicks in, we're not going to be out there, prophesying. We're not going to be out there, pushing this truth. At that time, the mercy doors, may be closed. It's just going to be it's just going to be us waiting on Yahweh Shai to return. While the world tries to make sense of all the different things that are going on, the elect, through the spirit of Yahweh Hashem Shai and through these scriptures, are going to be good. We're going to be good. Matthew 24 and 44. Therefore, be also ready, for in such an hour ye think not the Son of Man cometh. Because the people of the world, Jake, they're not thinking about they're not thinking about Yahweh Shai's return. They're not thinking about this way of life, coming to an end. The Esau's rulership, and the way he governs this world, people just think like this is the way it's going to be like forever. So they're not going to be ready, and they're not going to be ready because they're one, they either don't care, you know. Two, they're not listening to what the prophets of Yahweh Shem Shai are saying. And like I made a lesson yesterday, now is not the time to not be listening. Now is the time to be listening to what the prophets of Yahweh Shem Shai are saying, because that 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 when he returns, it's gonna catch a lot of people off guard, and because it's gonna catch a lot of people off guard, people are gonna be shook. People are gonna be having heart attacks. People are gonna faint. Some people just might just off themselves because they're not gonna be able to deal with what's going on. What's going on. A lot of brothers are out there even doing these videos. Of all these women, crashing out because it's just the way of life is the cost of living is so high. um a lot of people are really feeling that squeeze. you know and that's gonna cause a lot of people to even go and take Esau's chip, because that's gonna be um a way Esau really reels in a lot of people, because they can't make it. They can't make it on their own right now. They can't things are very difficult for them. So a lot of people are gonna go and take that chip, you know? So like it's like putting a band-aid on a wound that just keeps bleeding, you know? But the chip, the RFID chip, the mark of the beast, is not the answer. Yahweh Shai is the only answer, you know? And what was I gonna say? Um yeah, so you have all these people crashing out. And that's why, just like a lot of like the it's been on Apostle Tahar to like really keep bringing up the point that Isaiah 4:1 is going to take place. It's going to take place soon. This is not, yes, this is something that um will also be in the kingdom, but it is going to happen on this side. you know these because these women are crashing out, and the men are going to crash out too. They're not ready for what's coming, because it's gonna catch people. It's gonna catch people, a lot of people off guard. This is First Thessalonians 5:1, heading the day of the Lord. But the times and seasons, brethren, ye have no need that I write unto you, for yourselves know perfectly that the day of the Lord so cometh as a thief in the night. Backing up that last precept. For when they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction cometh upon them, as travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape. So people are not gonna be able to escape these terrible times that is gonna come. These terrible tribulations, that these terrible judgments that are gonna unfold on this place. People are not gonna be able to escape them. It's like I said, it's gonna people are not gonna be ready. It's like when something's gonna happen. When it happens, it doesn't it doesn't overwhelm you. you know and us as the watchmen, us as the prophets of Yahweh Shem Rasha, and we hope, we pray, we hope, I pray and hope that that I'm worthy, to be saved, you know because we're on our watch. We're on our watch. We stay paying attention. We stay ready. We keep pushing the word and the message of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. We're giving out that warning, so that when things start to really escalate, and they are right now. There's a lot going on right now, but we understand that it's also going to get much worse. And as it starts to get much worse, we're going to be ready. We're going to be ready through the spirit of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai to keep enduring. to keep enduring and finish this race. While the rest of the world and 2/3 of our people are not going to be ready, because they were never watching. So they're going to be shook, you know, like that parable. It said, I forgot where it is, but, referring back to Yahushua coming as a thief in the night, you know, if you know a thief is going to come and break into your home, you're going to be ready, but if you don't know he's coming into your home, it's going to catch you off guard and you're going to be shook. You're going to be startled. But the elect are getting ready. Are getting ready for what is to come. Matthew 24:21. For then shall be a great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time, nor shall ever be. Because we're heading to some serious times. But people don't want to believe us. They're just concerned about everything, about things of this world, things that are going on. This whole city is turned up over this whole Drake reveal. All this ice and people rushing downtown to figure out the release date. And that was all staged. But even on a side note, I was seeing seeing on social media just the way people react. Was reacting to this, and like I remember, one of the elder brothers at camp on Saturday said, Toronto's like Gotham. It's like a mini Gotham. When things start to get hectic out there, when they ain't no jobs, when everyone's gonna have to fend for themselves, when it's the kill or be killed mentality. These people, that's just this spirit's created for vengeance, and the love of many is gonna wax worse. Because these people out here, they're gonna do the unthinkable. They're gonna do whatever it is that they gotta do. Their favorite celebrity says, "Yo, go take that chip." They're gonna take that chip, just like how they did with the juice. A lot of these celebrities pushing to take that juice, and people took it. Best believe a lot of these celebrities are gonna be used for people to go and take the mark of the beast. All these YNs are gonna be on the street, you know, with their burners and stuff. Like, come on, man. This time of Jacob's trouble is gonna be no joke, and that's why we do this work, and that's why we're trying to make our own salvation. We're trying to work out our own salvation with fear and trembling, because we understand the times that are coming are serious times. And the only way to get to that is with that hedge and protection of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. Because people are going to be out here. People are going to be out here on some demon time, and Toronto's already a mod place, and you can just imagine over there in America, because over there that's a different beast. This is Jeremiah 30:1 in the NLT. The Lord Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, power of Israel, said to me, write down in a book everything that I have told you, because the time is coming when I will restore my people Israel and Judah. I will bring them back to the land that I gave their ancestors, and they will take possession of it again. And the Lord Yahweh Hashem Yahushai have spoken. That's the time we're coming into. The elect are going to go back to their land. Verse 4. The Lord Yahweh Hashem Yahushai says to the people of Israel and Judah, I heard a cry of terror, a cry of fear, and not of peace. Now stop and think. Can a man give birth to a child? Why do I see every man with his hands on his stomach, like a woman in labor? Why is everyone so pale? A terrible day is coming. No other day can compare with it. A time of distress for my people, but they will survive. You know, the elect are going to survive through it. You know, but 2/3 of our people, they're they're going to be sick to their stomach. You know, mans are going to have their hands like, just like you, someone who's running and they're out of breath. You know, or someone eating on something and they choke on a bone. That's how these people. That's how these people's faces are gonna be in the time of Jacob's trouble. You know, in the time, uh, and in the time when Yahweh Shai reveals Himself. You know, this is a terrible day is coming. It's gonna be a terrible day for 2/3 of Israel and for um the rest of these heathens. You know, and Esau, and ultimately Esau. Because that day is going to mean his time to rule is over, and he'll never rule again. He'll never be in power. He's going to go back to the base man he was set up to be. You know, so it's going to be a very terrible time. You know, people are not ready for what's coming. You know, people are just gonna get the women are gonna just get snatched up. They're just gonna just grab you, take a hold of you. You know, even the men out there, there's sick men out there too. Men are gonna be kidnapped too, tortured. You know, it's be a very crazy time. You know, and all praise to Yahweh Shem Yahushai for this truth. You know, for Yahweh Shai, the Comforter. You know, to keep us safe from this terrible day, and the terrible days that are going to be approaching, leading up to the return of Yahweh Shai. So yeah, that's what it's gonna do it. I was just meditating on that, based off the event that took place uh, last week on the job site. People are really not ready. They're not ready at all. I'd like to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rakak Wadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well, and peace, blessing, and safety to all the elect out there scattered throughout the four corners of the earth. Pray this lesson was edifying and